Hey guys, Keith here. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Is dating worth the cost? I mean, really, is it worth it? I don't know. I mean, you know, we think of cost, of course, we think of money, and that's where our minds go. But a cost can be, our time. We pay with our time. Could be emotionally. If things kind of go bad, you have some emotional strain and and things like that. So, is dating worth it? Is it worth the cost? Is it worth? Is there value in it? And it kind of depends, really on who you're dating, the person you're going out with. But today we're going to talk about the cost, as in money, because yesterday my kids and I went to a movie, and we don't do that a lot. We watch movies here and have a little theater and stuff. So it's just, it's we can pause at any time, go to the restroom, get a snack, and so it's convenient, it's nice, and a lot cheaper, but mainly we just enjoy the convenience of it and the being comfortable in our chairs and that kind of thing. But anyway, we there was a new movie coming out. It's Fantastic Four, and kids wanted to go see that, and then I was wanting to see it too. I wasn't sure how good it would be actually, because I like all the Marvel movies. We've watched all those, and I think we've watched like 50 of them here lately. We've watched them in chronological order, and so that was the last one or the one we hadn't seen yet. So anyway, so we made reservations online for tickets because it was, like I say, the first night. We want to make sure we got it. So there was a little convenience fee with each ticket as well. So it was a little more cost maybe than if you just went and bought the tickets. But we didn't want to take a chance and not have tickets because it's about 45 minutes away. So we had a good drive too. So we got gas involved. And I'm not complaining about us doing that because, I enjoy doing stuff with my kids. And like I said, we don't do that a lot. So I do it all over again. I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying if you're going on a date, though, with somebody that you don't know that well or barely know, or you've got set up with a blind date, that kind of thing, you're making a pretty big investment into this person that you don't know very well. And depending on what you do, okay, depending on what you do, because you could do different things. You can go cheap, but that could they could not like that one. If you've seen my video about the dating nightmares, that ain't what I called it. What I call it, dating disasters. Yeah, where I'd ask a girl, "Hey, you want to go eat?" And there was a McDonald's across the road, and I wasn't trying to be cheap. I just said, "Hey, you want to go? There's McDonald's over here. We can go wherever you want to." And she was like, "You're not taking me to McDonald's," kind of thing, and got kind of upset about it. And so, you know, so a lot of people were not going to want you to take them to a fast food restaurant on a date. Uh, I think if you find the right person, they probably don't care. First time me and my wife went out, I went to Walmart and I bought her a Mountain Dew. That was what because we were just driving around. We didn't actually go out and eat. We'd already ate and this and that separately, and we got together and just drove around, and that's what I bought her. It was a Mountain Dew. So we just had fun, and obviously it worked out. She didn't get offended by that or anything. We later on got married, but anyway, but a lot of times the person you're going out with, they're going to want you to take them somewhere, nice. I don't mean you don't have to take them to a 5-star restaurant necessarily, but a lot of times it's going to be a sit-down restaurant. It's what we call, me and the kids call it, a sit-down restaurant. I know you can sit down at fast foods, but we usually drive through those and we go to Chili's or somewhere like that. We sit down, but and depending on if you go to a movie or not. But the movies, man, they're getting of course food's expensive, but the movie itself. So it was $50 for us three to go to the movies, and like I say, we paid a convenience fee, I think, for doing that online and reserving it and everything. But we wanted to be sure we got tickets. And of course, that's for three people, not for two. So unless you're dating two people, which you're probably not, I hope you're not, because it's hard enough to date one person, let alone two. So I don't recommend that, okay? But because that's going to really get costly. But in a lot of ways, I imagine it could be deadly. I don't know, but anyway, might not be good for your health there for sure. But anyway, so $50 for us to go to the movies. We get there. Of course, we got to have popcorn. I'm just always going to do that. You don't have to do that. Obviously, you could say, "Well, I'm not going to do that. I can't afford that, or I'm not just going to spend that." But let's say you get there and she or he wants popcorn. And it depends on who's buying. I mean, normally the guy's buying. I realize how that normally goes, And if I was, of course, taking someone out, I would definitely be buying, no doubt. So I'm just saying it from my perspective. I'm gonna want popcorn and a soda, whether she does or not. But if she does, then okay. So we got popcorn and sodas, and then there was some souvenir cups. So again, don't have to buy those, but they were there, and kids wanted them, and you can't buy them anywhere else, right? Unless you get them on eBay, and they're probably going to be a lot more expensive than getting them at the theater, because they're going to be rare at that point, because they ran out of some of them while we were after we got out of the movie. Some of the cups were gone, so they were getting gone pretty quick. So that was $60 some for the popcorn and sodas. See, so now we're into this date thing, okay, and of course with my kids, obviously, but it's $100 some, right? But let's say you were on a date with somebody that you don't know that well, right? And you could it wouldn't be that much, because like I said, that's for 3 people, but you're still looking at a pretty hefty price tag for a movie, for a date night. And then let's say you go out and eat too, and you go to Chili's, or you go somewhere like that, a sit-down restaurant somewhere like that, and you could easily have $50 after the tip, maybe 40. I mean, I don't know. Me and the kids have been through some drive-thrus, and it cost us 30 or $40 through drive-thrus, and we don't eat. We're not huge eaters or anything like that. It's just expensive. So you could easily have be invested in someone $100 in the night, and that's not counting your gas, right? And that's I guess okay if you like the person, but I've been on some blind dates and got out there and already committed. I mean, yeah, you can turn around and be kind of an ass if you want to, and just say, no, we're not doing this. But I've never done that before. If I've got on dates and I knew from the moment they got in the car, this ain't gonna work out, But I went ahead with the date, did what I promised I'd do and all that, and we, went to eat or whatever. But sometimes pretty early on, this ain't gonna work, right? This is the one and only, one and done. No more dates after this. But so you can, like I say, you can drop some money. Now, obviously, if you're committed to it, going out to eat, you could always, cut it off at that point. I know I went out with a girl one time. We went out to eat and went to a comedy club, and I knew when she got in the car, there was multiple reasons this wasn't gonna work out, right? And she was nice enough, I guess, but she just wasn't for me. Just wasn't. And as the night went on, I realized even more and more. But yeah, we went to eat and went to, I think, Lone Star, and then we, I think, talked about a comedy club. So I went ahead and fulfilled my commitment, okay, but we didn't go out anymore, and that was on me. And a lot of times it's the other way around. And most of the time it was the other way around, where I call them and they've changed their number or whatever. It's unlisted now, and you can't get a hold of them anymore. Because they don't want to go out with me anymore, but. Anyway, it's okay, save me some money. But so anyway, you've got to really think about, especially if you're the one paying for the date, that it's going to cost you some money, and things are just pricey today. There's just a lot to think about, and is it worth the cost? Is it worth it? And again, I know you don't know. Sometimes you may go up with somebody and it's like, oh yeah, I'd have paid double for that date. I don't care. And we had a great time. She's a great person, whatever. He's a great person, whatever the deal is. But anyway, it's something to think about nowadays. And if you haven't dated in a while, maybe you don't realize how much things are, if you don't, because I know how much food is, because me and my kids do go out and eat once in a while. Mostly drive through, but we do, occasionally, a special occasion, we'll go and sit down and splurge a little bit, but if I was by myself, I wouldn't eat out by myself. Now I would go through a drive-through, but I don't sit down and eat by myself. I just never have done that. If you do that, that's fine. For me, I'm just like, I just eat in the car, whatever. But so if you haven't been out there eating out, maybe you don't know how much things are like that. I mean, obviously everything's went up and food's, expensive just at the grocery store, but just some things that you need to think about, with dating, because there's some cost involved besides just your heart and besides just your time. Your money's involved as well, and not trying to be stingy, but it's our money. You worked hard for it, and you don't want to just, spend it on somebody that's, you're not really going to enjoy the night. And I know, unfortunately, we don't know that until we go out with somebody. So there's maybe some ways to kind of get to know somebody better. If you meet somebody at the Dollar Tree, and you don't know anything about them, maybe there's a cheaper way. Let me say this: a less expensive way. Cheaper sounds bad. A less expensive. It's the same thing, but it's less expensive sounds bad, or better. A less expensive way to do something where it's not so costly, but you kind of get to spend time together. And then if they get offended by, the cheap date or whatever, and again, don't invite yourself over to their house and say, "Hey, do you mind cooking for us?" I'm not talking about that kind of cheap date. I'm talking about, trying to, maybe doing something where, there's an event going on, a festival in town or something that you could kind of get, where it's not going to be, crazy money or something. Like maybe it's got a $5 or $10 entrance fee, and you'd pay for yourself anyway. It's just another $10, whatever. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know how accurate that would be, because I know, like I say, things are expensive, but sometimes you can find some things that are less expensive to do, and maybe just meet for coffee. People have recommended that on the channel too, to me, as far as just hanging out at a coffee shop, or maybe meeting somebody there, and like I say, maybe just taking somebody out for coffee for the first time, to get to know them, and then you kind of know, do I want to go out with them again, and if you do, that's okay. And if you don't have a lot invested in them, because I don't think you should. I'm not trying, like I said, not trying to be cheap, but I don't think you should invest just a whole lot of money in somebody that you don't really know if you're going to like them or not. If they're a friend and they're somebody and you like them, and you want to do that for them, that's great. But by doing it for a total stranger, you might want to wait until you get to know them. Maybe do something a little less expensive. And if you got some ideas on that, put them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. I appreciate all the comments. I don't get back to everybody as quickly as I need to. I've been kind of busy this week, but I'll try to get back to some of y'all for sure. And I do appreciate the comments and you sharing your stories with me. So be sure to check out our other videos. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you could subscribe to us and give us a like on this, I'd appreciate it. And we'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks.